Welcome to the IPP Process and Activity Search walkthrough. In this video, we will explore the redesigned Process Search view, explore the new Activity Search functionality, perform process, descriptor, and activity searches, sort and filter the search results, and customize the search results table. I'm going to log into IPP as a typical processor. The successful login takes us to the workflow execution screen where I will select Business Control Center from the prospective drop list. This opens the Business Control Center, or BCC for short. The BCC contains various views for analyzing and optimizing workload, managing resources, and retrieving information. There are two ways to launch the Process Search view. The first is to click All Management Views. This shows you all the views in the BCC, and under Processes you'll see Process Search. A quicker way to get there is under My Favorite Views. You'll see Process Search here. Just click there. It opens Process Search. So the Process Search view opens and it defaults to search for processes, all processes that are alive. Let's change some of the criteria and perform a process search. Started refers to the date and time that the process was started. If the start date and time is not specified, start date and time will simply not be considered in the search. But if a start date and time is specified, then the query will return processes that were started from this date and time to the present date. So let's specify a started date and time. So I'm going to click the calendar icon. So the calendar control allows you to select the month, the year, a specific date, and time. Just click the X when you're through to close the pop-up. So we specify the started time. The end time refers to the date and time that a process was ended, which means whenever the process was completed or aborted. As with the current date and time, if the end time is not specified, it will simply not be considered in the search. But if an end date and time is specified, then the query will return the processes that ended from this date and time to the present date. The end date time is specified using the pop-up calendar, which I demonstrated earlier, so I'm not going to specify an end time. The process select box lists all the process definitions, which in our case are account transfer and loan approval. Notice that the descriptors column appears when I click one of the processes. These are the descriptors identified for each process. So first name, last name, and account type are the descriptors defined for account transfer. First name, last name, and amount are the descriptors defined for the loan approval process. This functionality allows you to search using process data that is more business related, such as a client's first name and last name in this case, or maybe an identifying account number. I'll return to the descriptors shortly. So returning to the process criteria, the state refers to the current state of the process in the workflow. By default, alive is selected, but you could select completed, aborted, interrupted, or all. So I'll select all. The root process OID and process OID refer to the system-generated IDs assigned to processes when they're created. These IDs can be found on the process details view. They may also be included in the search results. Okay, so let's review our process criteria one more time. We're going to search for processes that were started June 10th, 2010, 8 o'clock Let's search for all processes in all states. So let's click the search button. Okay, so the search criteria collapses when the search is run to maximize the amount of space available to display the search results. The results of the search are displayed in this common process table, which allows you to view relevant information about each process and perform common actions such as adding a note to a process or changing the priority. So the table presents key information about each process. This includes the name of the process, the OID of the process, the priority, the descriptors. The descriptors column lists data, all of the descriptors in a single column. These can be configured. This can be configured to display each descriptor in a separate column, and I'll show you how to configure this shortly. The starting user is displayed, the start time, the duration, and then we have several actions that we can perform. Clicking an icon in the actions column instantiates the action for the process in that row only. So for example, I can click the process details for the account transfer process. It will bring up the account transfer details for that process only. Okay, so let's close process details and return to the process search results. A couple actions can be performed in bulk operations. These are the terminate process and recover process. So to perform these actions in bulk, you would simply select the processes that you want to terminate or recover. In this case, we'll terminate. Once you've selected your processes, click the icon. And if you are authorized, you can perform these operations. The table can be sorted and filtered on most columns. The yellow arrow in a column indicates that the table is sorted on that column. So in this case, our search results are sorted by start time. We can click one of the other columns to sort on that column. So I'll sort on priority. Okay, it's now sorted from low to high priority. If I click it again, I'll sort the table from high to low. So this icon in the top of the header for process name, process OID, and start time indicates that the table can be filtered on these columns. So let's set a filter on process OID. And we'll filter from processes OID 15 to 20. Click apply to apply the filter. Okay. So now we've filtered the table by process OID, and we still got it sorted by priority. If I want to reset the filter, I just click this icon again. Okay, now we're back. Okay, so now let's customize the table columns. To do this, we'll click the column selector icon in the toolbar. This dialog allows me to select the columns to display in the table and to reorder them to suit my own preference. As mentioned earlier, the descriptors can be shown in a single column, or they can each be shown separately. I want to configure the table to hide the descriptors column and show the first name and last name in separate columns. So to do this, I need to unmark the checkbox next to descriptors. I'll need to mark first name and last name, and then I need to drag these to the location where I want them to display in the table. So in this case, let's disable process OID as well. And we will drag these up under process name so that first name and last name display immediately to the left of process name. And click apply. Okay. Now you see the descriptors column has been removed, and then we have the first name and last name descriptors appearing to the left of process name, and the process OID column has also been removed. The table will stay this way until the user changes it. Okay. So let's return to the search criteria and perform a second search. In this case, I want to search, I want to do a descriptor search. As mentioned earlier, the descriptors populate based on the process selected. So for account transfer, we get first name, last name, account type, loan approval, first name, last name, and amount. Notice that first and last name are common to both of these processes. If I select all processes, I can search on those common descriptors, first name and last name. In this case, I want to search for a particular customer, Gerald Pike. Let's clear our start time. And then we'll click search to perform the second search. Okay, and here we see the process, loan transfer and loan approval for Gerald Pike. Okay, so let's go back to the search criteria, and now let's perform an activity search. So I'm going to change the search for box from processes to activities. Okay. Now, in addition to process criteria and descriptors, we also have activity criteria. Some of the process criteria can be used in the activity search. You have to select either all processes, or you can specify specific processes to search for. I think we'll search for all processes. You can specify a process OID, which means only activities within that specific process OID will be returned. Under activity criteria, you see there's a started and an end time. These work exactly the same way as the process criteria, in that you go in to this pop-up, the pop-up calendar, and you can select the started and end time. The only difference here is these refer to the started time for the activity and the end time of the activity rather than the start and end time of the process. Okay, so the activity select box allows you to select specific activities to search. This is tied to the processes box. So for example, I have all processes selected, which gives me all the activities and all the processes. If I want to limit that to account transfer, these will just include the activities for the account transfer process. Then I can select one or more of these. If you do not select any, then it will return all. I can control click to select multiple, or shift click to select a group. I can click them again to unmark them. The hide auxiliary activities checkbox refers to an optional tag that can be applied to activities in the model to identify them as irrelevant to business users. These activities can be hidden here in the activity search screen and in the process history. You can specify an activity state. By default, alive is selected, but you can select from completed, aborted, suspended, hibernated, aborting, created, application, interrupted, and all. Basically, all the activity states are listed here. You can also search by specific activity OID if you know it. And a performer can be specified. The performer is the user who completed the activity or who the activity is currently assigned to. Okay. You can also search for descriptors. I'm going to clear the descriptors at this point. Go back and we're going to just do a plain search for all activities in all processes. Click search. Once again, the search criteria are hidden to maximize the real estate available to display the results of the search. At this time, the activities are returned rather than processes. So here you see the activity name, the activity OID, activity priority, descriptors, start time, last modified, the duration of the activity, who it's assigned to, who completed it, the participant, performer, and the actions. The actions column contains icons for launching process details, for activating the activity, for delegating the activity, aborting the activity, or adding notes. A couple other activities can be performed in bulk. These are delegate and abort. These work the same as on the process results, or essentially you just mark the activities that you would want to abort or delegate and then click the icon. The activity results can also be sorted and filtered. It can be sorted on activity name, activity OID, priority, start time, last modified, assigned to. It can also be filtered on these columns. Also, the columns can be configured in the same way that the columns were enabled and reordered in the process table. Another control that is common to pretty much all the tables in IPP is the pagination control. This allows you to flip through the results. So here we'll go to page 2, or we'll go to page 3 of the results set. As indicated up here, there are 44 records found. It's displaying 8 from 17 to 24, page 3 of 6. So there's actually 6 pages. We can go to the first page, or the last page of the result set. We can fast flip through them, which in this case flips through 3 at a time. So let's fast flip back, and we can also fast flip forward. Or we can step through to the next page. This behavior is configurable on the configuration panel. So let's go click that. Under portal configuration, here there's a heading called Paginator Table. This allows you to set the page size or the number of rows per table. You can set the maximum number of pages to be displayed in the toolbar. And you can also control the fast step. If you put 0 here, it will actually disable it. You can make any changes here to save it, and it'll be available on your next login. This concludes our walkthrough of IPP Process and Activity Search. This functionality is available in IPP version 5.1 and later.